What's going on, beautiful people? Daniel Mediar in the building with another story from our brother who lost 227K in his little affair with a lady. So we're going to go through the details as always, and we're going to analyze why did this happen, how did it happen, and what were the signs. Now, before I start, of course, you can find my services at dmprotrainer.com. You can book a single consultation, or you can join my coaching program, 1, 3, and 6 months. That is designed for nutrition and exercise, human relationships, and finances as well. If you guys are looking for a good beef that's grass-fed, grass-finished, in a really high quality, produced in Utah and Texas, American-raised, you can order it at dmbeef.com. Also, if you guys want to see my methods for the weight loss and you want to do it yourself, read my book, Weight Loss Without Plateau, where I explain all the details of my weight loss methods. Calorie cycling, I explain details about metabolism, etc. Okay, so, by that being said, let's head into today's email. I was 42 when I boarded the flight from Reno Tahoe International to Bangkok. I told my coworkers it was just a vacation, a break from the mining equipment business, a chance to reset. What I didn't tell them was that I felt like my life had stalled out in a long stretch of desert road. So, first problem, our brother feels stuck. He feels stuck, and men who feel stuck are in a vulnerable position, okay? They tend to fall in love blindly. I've been divorced for 5 years. My son already in college, and my house in Henderson felt more like a storage unit than a home. Thailand had always been one of those places I imagined visiting after retirement. But one afternoon in February, after a week of 12-hour shifts, I stared at my reflection in the office window and realized retirement looked further away. I booked the ticket that night. I arrived to Bangkok in a humid wave thick enough to choke. The taxi from Suvarnabhumi Airport took me down to Rama 9 Road. The driver weaving through traffic with confidence I envied. Neon lights smeared across the windows, the city pulls in with an energy I hadn't felt in years. The hotel, an upscale one on Sukhumvit, Soi 24, smelled of polished wood, jasmine, and money. I checked in, showered, changed into a black shirt, and headed out, telling myself it was just going to be a walk around. Okay, so we got our brother in Thailand so far. Instead, I ended up at the club Sukhumvit Soi 11, Club Mirage, a place so loud it felt like the bass was trying to punch my ribs. The neon sign flickered like it was struggling to breathe. Inside the crowd, swathed in a haze of perfume, sweat, and laser lights, slicing the smoke. I ordered a whiskey, more to have something to do with my hands than anything else. That's when she walked in. Short black dress, long dark hair, red lipstick, sharp as a dagger. She didn't come in with anyone. She drifted in like someone who already owned the room. She caught me looking at her. Of course she did. And gave me a smile so slight it could have been accidental. But it wasn't. Nothing she ever did was accidental, though I didn't know it then. She slid onto the stool next to me like it was prearranged. "You're not from here?" she said, her English soft but confident. Okay, well, here you gotta realize, again, the same analogy. Where in the world do you think women go after men like this? Nowhere. Nowhere. Why is this happening in a poor country? Because you're a foreigner and you got the money. Like, imagine yourself sitting at the bar in Ohio. Would a woman like this sit next to you and start talking to you? To a miner from, where did you say you were? Reno? No. Women don't do that. Women don't approach men like this, okay? So why do you think all of a sudden you become so attractive to women in other country? Because you got the money. That's really the only reason. There's nothing else she wants but the money. So this is how you got to start thinking when you travel to these poor countries. Okay, don't think that she's just genuine or you became somehow more attractive or her culture is different. No, it has nothing to do with culture. Remember, women don't approach men like this. You know, you go to Paris. Where in Paris will you sit at the bar and a chick 10 out of 10 will come sit next to you and start, dialogue with you, and she will start a conversation, and then she will ask you for a number or do you want to see Paris? Doesn't happen. You go to a club or you go to a bar in Paris and you leave alone. That's really how it works. So don't think you somehow miraculously become attractive in Thailand. No, they just want your money. Is it that obvious? She laughed. Nevada? She guessed. I blinked. How did you know? You look like someone from a place with big skies but heavy hearts. I should have recognized it then how perfectly crafted the line was. But I was tired, a little lonely, and she was beautiful in a way that made you ignore every instinct you ever had. Her name was Nisha. We talked for an hour, maybe two, about nothing and everything. Her family in Chonburi, my work, how I didn't really know what I was doing in Thailand. She sipped her drink slowly, never finishing it, like she knew she needed it only as a prop. When I finally asked if she wanted another, she touched my hand lightly. No, come dance with me instead. Yeah, right. It's just like I'm telling you. Why would you think that just an average guy from Reno, Nevada becomes so attractive? This would never happen to you anywhere else in the world. We danced. The lights blurred. The music numbered the edge of my thoughts. She smelled like orchids and danger. Somewhere between the second and a third song, she leaned in and whispered, I like you, you're kind. Listen, you gotta understand. The best way to date women is when the woman is your fan already. She knows you, she knows your last name, she's a fan of your mission, she knows what you're about, she knows your jokes and stuff like that, okay? That is the best way to start a relationship with a woman. If you go after strangers, after a stranger woman, randomly picking on women on the street, at the club, or at the store, get used to rejection. Because the first thing that's gonna happen, the woman gonna get in her defense, she's gonna point her towers at you with the machine guns on. Who the hell are you? What do you want? Her default setting is no. Whatever you want, the answer is no. That's just the reality of dating strangers, okay? Why would you think a stranger woman approaches you? Like, that's even more uncommon. Like, the likelihood of this happening to you, that a girl will end up sipping a whiskey and whispering in your ear, I like you, within 3 hours after you met her, after she approached you, is like, it's non-existent. This is not how dating works, okay? This is why I always tell men, if you're trying to approach strangers, it's like 10 times the work. And you don't even know if she's taken, if she's married, if she hates all men at the same time and she would just love to cut off all of their balls. You don't know what stage of life she's in. Like, the likelihood of her agreeing to a date is really minimal. So you better just get used to a tremendous amount of rejection. And you never take it personally, ever, ever. But that's the reality of dating stranger girls. You always want to date your fans. So your priority is to create a mission that is respectable by women, where women can look at you with respect and say, wow, this man is onto something. I want to follow him. I want him to be my leader. When a woman is in that position, it's so much easier to talk to her, to seduce her, to date her. You want to show up in a room and you want every chick to know your name. That's the position where you want to be in life, okay? Because that's really the easiest way. With strangers, like I said, get used to rejection. That sentence hit me harder than the whiskey. When the night ended, she didn't ask for money, didn't suggest anything. She simply gave me her line ID and said, message me tomorrow if you want. I messaged her the next morning before I even got out of bed. Over the next week, she showed me parts of Bangkok most tourists never see. Tiny alley valley, noodle shops on Charoen Krung, rooftop bars on Southern Road. A temple in Thonburi where monks chanted on sunrise. She never asked for anything. She always split the bill. She acted like a woman who was genuinely interested in me. Not what I could give her. That was the hook. She was patient. They all are. They're not going to ask you for money right away. That's the amateur way of pressuring you to give her money. The professional way is to make you fall in love. It's months and months and months of process. And she's patient. One night, sitting by the Chao Phraya River, she told me she always wanted to date an older man because older men are loyal and calm. Another perfect line, another well-placed drop of poison. When my 2-week vacation ended, I didn't want to leave. At the airport, she hugged me like a woman fearing abandonment. Her hands trembled. Her voice cracked when she said, "Promise you'll come back." I promised. Back in Nevada, everything felt wrong. The house, the job, the silence. She messaged me constantly, good morning photos, late night voice notes, telling me she missed me. Then came the message that sealed my fate. "You're the only man who ever treated me good." I flew back 3 months later. On my 3rd trip, I decided to move. I moved to Thailand for her in November. I quit my job in Nevada with a polite, vague speech about how new opportunities in Asia rose. My boss clapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're too young to rot behind the desk anyway." The HR girl hugged me and said she was jealous. Nobody asked why I picked Bangkok. Nobody knew about Nisha. I sold my truck, I rented out my house in Henderson, and wired most of my savings into a Thai bank account, and I opened my 2nd trip. With help from a friendly officer at the branch on Sukhumvit Road. I told myself it was a fresh start. I landed at Suvarnabhumi with 2 suitcases and a 1-year non-immigrant visa extension lined up through an agent Nisha recommended. It cost more than it should have, but the paperwork went through without trouble. That should have been my first real red flag. Everything that should have been hard was strangely easy. Nisha met me at arrivals. She wore a white dress, this time simple and clean, and when she saw me, she actually ran. She jumped into my arms like in the movies. Well, here I actually believe that she's really excited. Just now she knows you're stupid enough to move to Thailand for her, so she knows you got big plans. And she knows when a man has big plans, she can manipulate him however she wants. You know, she can convince you for marriage, she can convince you for investment opportunities, she can convince you for purchasing a house. You pretty much left your entire world behind. This dynamic never works. A woman enters the imperium of a man, not the other way around. When you enter her imperium, you become a rug. She's not going to respect you. So when there is an opportunity for you to move after your girl, or your girl moving after you, you always tell her to move to your house. Always. That's just by divine. A feminine energy enters the masculine imperium. And that's where she stays, and that's when she can respect the man. Okay? Here, he completely broke this rule, and he flew across the world for her. Now, she's not going to respect him at all. At all. If you're capable of just leaving your life behind because of a little chick in a $2 flip-flops, she's in her head, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to break this guy however I want. That's what she's thinking. She has no respect for you whatsoever because you're entering her imperium under insane circumstances. Like, you literally got rid of your life. You quit your job, rented out the house, sold your truck. I mean, left everything behind for this girl. She knows it. You told her everything about it. She was on the phone with you while you were doing it, and she's losing respect. Every time this dynamic creates a bad start when I see this. I smelled her hair, jasmine again, and felt something in my chest loosen, like a knot untied. "You really came," she whispered. "Of course I did. I said I'm here for you." She leaned back, smiling. "Then this is our new life." You know, it's clear how this guy thinks he's doing the right thing. Like, I'm here for you. Yeah, that's gonna turn her off. Psychologically, remember, don't look for logic. When emotions are involved, people don't make logical decisions. It's always psychology. So logically, a woman will want to hear, like, I'm here for you forever. I'll be following you forever. But long-term, psychologically, it will turn her off because this man is below her. She's on the throne looking down at her servant. I can do whatever I want with you. You have no boundaries. You're literally going to give up your life for me. Okay? When a man gives up his mission for a woman, it turns women off. They lose respect. Here, he's pure logic. He thinks this is going to work. Our first apartment was a one-bedroom condo off Sukhumvit 71 near Prakanand BTS station. Nisha found it. The building was modern with a pool on the 8th floor and a gym nobody used. The rent was about 28,000 baht a month, around $800. I thought it was reasonable for the location. She squealed when she saw the view of the city from the balcony. We can see everything, she said, like we're above all the problems. I signed the lease without reading every line. The contract was in Thai with a one-page English summary. Nisha said, "Don't worry, I checked it for you." I believed her. You never sign paperwork in a foreign language based on belief to a chick. No, come on, man, no. The first few months were honeymoon months in every sense. What you're saying is the dopamine phase. Nobody really knows what a honeymoon month means. But it's actually a high level of dopamine production because you just met a new partner, okay? Your body's getting to reproduce with the new partner, you are all excited about it, and you ignore every single red flag to fall in love. So at first, when you meet a new partner, your brain will start producing tremendous amounts of dopamine, okay? And after that, after about 9 months, the dopamine drops, the excitement drops, and then it's replaced by the oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone of bonding, okay? That's what bonds the families long term. Oxytocin is the reason why a mother will come to school, pick up her child. She's not going to come to kindergarten and say, okay, give me the little Asian today. That's not happening. She's always going to pick up her child. Why? Because she's bonded to this child with oxytocin. When you look at it simply, we have a human Homo sapiens mother, okay, and a child Homo sapiens. Why is she picking the same child all the time? Because she gave birth to this child. She is bonded to this child with oxytocin. Hence, it will always be her child, okay? That's the strongest bond humans can have, a mother and a child. Father and a child, no. Mother and a child is the strongest oxytocin bond. So the problem with oxytocin is that it's boring. It's boring. It's boring as hell. When you are in oxytocin phase, there's no excitement. You don't feel horny 24/7 like, oh my God, I want to bang her everywhere. No, it's just normal life. You focus on job, on work. It's your average Tuesday in pajamas. That's what oxytocin is. You get your senses back so you can actually focus on your mission. And the dopamine phase, you want to do nothing, just spend time with your partner. Because it's exciting. It's like a new toy. Okay, you can't live like this. Everything's purple. You're like high on mushrooms all the time. And you can't live like this. So the brain will get used to the other person and they will stop producing, the brain will stop producing the high amounts of dopamine. And that's where people get completely confused. Because after the dopamine is gone and they spend, let's say, 2-3 years in the oxytocin phase, they feel like they fell out of love. And they replace stability for a new excitement. The only way how you can again feel that crazy excitement as in the beginning is by replacing your partner. That's the only way. Your brain must be stimulated by a new partner to get you the same dopamine rush. Your current partner stands no chance to a new partner. That's why you think you fell in love with a new person. You start convincing yourself it's a better opportunity for a better life because you feel dopamine. You're excited about the new partner, okay? So now you're changing literally the stability, if you have a good relationship, for a little bit of high. And that's how you monkey branch from relationship to relationship to relationship, and you can't stay committed to a single one because you don't understand hormones. You don't understand the brain chemistry. And the brain chemistry is simple. Once when the brain gets used to a dopamine production from your current partner, after about 9 months, dopamine's gone. And people think they fell out of love. No, it's biologically, chemically impossible to feel that intense love as you felt in the beginning, which is not love, by the way. But whatever it is, that intense feeling in the beginning, forever. It's impossible biologically. If you want to compare your current husband of 10 years to the new guy at the office you just met, your husband stands no chance. Like your brain is 100% used to him. 100%. There's no dopamine rush when you see him whatsoever. Okay? So when you fall in love with the new guy at work, you're going to feel all excited and all the feelings of love, in quotes, will come back. And now you're all confused. You finally think You found the real love. And no, this is just another guy who's going to piss you off in 9 months after leaving dirty dishes in a sink. That's the reality. Okay? At night in bed, she traced circles on my chest and said things like, I feel safe with you. No man ever made me feel like this. I've been divorced for years. No one had said anything like that to me in so long that I clung to it like oxygen. I opened a small Thai bank account in my name, but most of the money I used day to day was on my US debit card. I still thought of my real savings as intangible numbers on a screen in a Nevada bank, not something that could vanish. The first time she asked for money, it was almost nothing. We were eating late night noodles on Sukhumvit 38, sitting on a plastic stool under fluorescent lights. She was scrolling on her phone, frowning. What's wrong? I asked. She shrugged, a practice gesture. Nah, just my mother. She has problem with her shop in Chonburi. Slow business. She is shy to ask, but she glanced up at me. Never mind. No, tell me. It's just 10,000 baht. Little bit. I will send her so she can pay rent for the shop this month. She hesitated. I don't want you to think I stay with you because of money. Come on, I said. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. 10,000 baht was about $300. Less than what I used to spend in a weekend in Vegas. I transferred it to her account right there on the street. Another problem. You stop realizing you're sending her $300. Because to you, it's like a night in Vegas. To her, it's like the entire month of salary. Like you are, what's the word for it in English? You stop looking for the value in money when you feel like you can afford things. You're like, oh, this is just $300. That's how you go broke. You're not that rich. You're like a miner from Nevada, brother. It's not like you're Bill Gates. So yeah, those $300 will get you broke because of your mindset. Now you're looking at $300 like it's nothing. Oh, I can afford it. Yeah, right. Yeah, we all know. You can at the moment, but next time it's going to be 1,000. Next time it's going to be 2 grand. Next time it's going to be 5 grand. And you're going to be so deep in that it's so much easier for you to just keep paying than to open a reality and realize you're being scammed. This is the destructive mindset. Make sense? I transferred it to her account right there on the street. Send it to her. Tell her it's from both of us. She stared at me like I'd just done something heroic. Her eyes watered. She squeezed my hand. You're too good for me, she whispered. Yeah, she's right. You're too good, and you should get out. That night, she cried quietly in bed, saying, I'm afraid to lose you all my life. Men only use me. I held her and said she would never have to worry about that again. At the time, I thought I was reassuring her. No, what she was doing is make you get more and more committed to the relationship. That's what she's doing. She's making you say out loud that you're going to stay there forever. Looking back, I realized she was reassuring herself that the hook wasn't deep enough. The second request was bigger. About 7 months after I moved, during the hot season, she started talking about a small cafe. We were sitting in a Starbucks on a Sukhumvit, of all places, and she was sketching out a floor plan on a napkin with a ballpoint pen. Not big, she said, maybe on Ekimai or Tonglor. Coffee, cocktails, some food. Many expats, many tourists, we can make good money. We? I asked, amused. I know nothing about cafes. You know business, she said. You do big machines in America, right? Yeah, that doesn't make him a businessman. He's right. He doesn't know nothing about business. He never owned one. This is just small machine, she laughed. You can be investor, maybe. I manage, and then we share profit. It sounded harmless enough, like the dream of any couple starting a life together. I asked what something like that would cost. Maybe 2 million baht, she said. Renovation, rent, license, furniture. But we can start smaller. 1 million. I can borrow from my friend and you put some money in also. Then we see. 1 million baht was about $28,000. Not nothing, but not everything. And the way she presented it made it sound like I would be stupid to miss the opportunity. She talked about how, as a foreigner, I couldn't own land in Thailand directly, She would read up on it. You can own a condo freehold, but not the land. For business, I need to be majority owner. Thai law. 51% Thai, but I will sign paper to say we share profits. What about taxes, labor, and laws? I asked, trying to sound like the old practical me. She ticked off answers that sounded rehearsed but plausible. Thai company structure, nominee shareholders, how everyone does it. She mentioned how foreign men get in trouble if they try to hide ownership, but then smiled and said, we do everything correct. I don't want problem for you. The next week, I wired $30,000 into my Thai account and withdrew it over several days, respecting the daily limits. I handed it to her in cash, bundled in bank envelopes, in our living room. It felt like I was playing a dress-up as an investor and not actually risking years of my life. She took it, pressed the envelopes to her chest, like they were a child, and kissed me over and over. You trust me, she said, voice trembling. I will never forget this. Well, I'm sure she'll never forget it, because I'm pretty sure you're the only dumbass who gave you $30K. She's probably scamming guys for $300-500 here and there. Okay? You gotta remember, you're gonna be her lifetime story. She's gonna brag about you to all her hooker friends. To all of her friends. And all of her hooker friends are gonna be jealous of her. Okay? Because, yeah, getting $30K out of a guy is a big, big deal. Just imagine you made an investment in a Bitcoin early 2016s and it worked out. That's how she feels. I told myself I was not just buying a business. I was buying a future with her. The cafe was never opened. There were always explanations. The landlord changed the contract at the last minute. The licensing office wanted additional paperwork. Her designer disappeared with the initial deposit. The contractor found structural problems with the building. Every setback came with a screenshot of line messages in Thai, forwarded emails, photos of half-finished interior design. Don't worry, she say. These things take time in Thailand, not like America. This is their favorite line, because they know you cannot defend yourself. If she mentions culture or Thailand, you know nothing about it. So she's just blaming everything on the country. I would get frustrated, we would fight. Then she'd try and tell me she was doing her best, that she felt like a failure, then maybe I should find a better Thai girl. Yep, she's definitely right. And she should refund you the money. But of course, that's never going to happen, right? You just lost 30K. But what she's doing here is this emotional manipulation where you put a pressure on her. Where's my money? How come the cafe is not there? How come there's always a problem? She doesn't know what to do, so the best option is to just cry. Just cry. It's just, he'll stop when you cry. So that's what she's doing. Then, inevitably, I would end up apologizing. I started dipping into my US savings more regularly. Currency exchange fees became dull ache I learned to ignore. Meanwhile, I wasn't working. I told myself I was semi-retired. But in reality, I was living like a man on vacation with no end date and no income stream. The next serious request came during the rainy season. It was a night heavy with thunder. We were lying in bed, air conditioner humming, rain beating against the balcony glass. Nisha was scrolling through her phone, unusually quiet. Everything okay? I asked. She bit her lip, a move I would seen hundreds of times now, and turned the screen towards me. It was a photo of a woman in a hospital bed, wires and tubes, eyes closed. An older woman, face worn but familiar from the photos Nisha had shown me before. My mother, she said, her voice flat, but her eyes glittered. She had stroke, ICU in Chonburi. I sat up. Jesus, when did this happen? Today. Just now, my sister just sent me the photo. A tear rolled down her cheek. Hospital asked for money. They need deposit for treatment. If we don't pay, they cannot continue everything. Urgency, urgency, urgency. Don't think, just send the money. Don't think, just send the money. These churches love urgency because you don't have enough time to think. Oh my God, yes, you want to save the life. You want to be the one responsible for her death? Really? Is this what you're going to do to my mother? He's trying to avoid that because that would be her next step. You don't want to pay? So my mother is going to die because of you. You see, so now you're in a position of like deciding who's going to live and who's going to die. And you can all solve it by $10,000 deposit. So it's either you're responsible for a death or you pay the 10K. That's how they do it. How much? She swallowed. They say they need 300,000 baht, now, maybe more later. I have some, but not enough. I can sell gold, borrow from friend, but takes time. She looked at me pleading, but now desperate, always celebrated. Can we help her? I will pay you back from cafe when we open. She's never gonna pay you back. 300,000 baht, almost $9,000. I did the math in my head the way I always did, converting baht to dollars as if it made it more real. My stomach nodded, but the answer was already decided. How could I say no? This was her mother. Of course, I said, we'll send it. Her mother is just fine. In her village, the photo is fake, and you're delusional. You're falling for a scam. That's all that's happening. If I was in your shoes, right here, knowing what I know now, I would say, no, let her die. Who cares? This would be my attitude. Why? Because I know this is not real. I know nobody's dying, and I know I'm dealing with a predator. This little 5'1" chick with freaking size of her feet 4, I know she just looks little and innocent, but inside she's a predator. That's who she is. I just tell her, no, let her die. Who cares? I wired her the next day. She took care of the hospital paperwork. At least that's what she told me. She showed me PDF invoices and payment receipts in Thai with stamped red seals and official looking logos. Okay, why didn't she go to the hospital and why didn't you go see her in the hospital? Who in the world would pay the bill first? Don't you think I never gotten a photo or emergency phone call from the hospital that my relative is there? The last thing I'm thinking about, I gotta pay the bill first. No, you run to the hospital to see them. You take care of the bills last, after. First thing you do, you run to see your loved one. You wanna be there, next to their bed. Doctor, tell me, how bad is it? When my grandfather died, this is exactly what happened. They told me, come say goodbye to your grandfather. Do you think I would? I asked him, how much is it? No, I ran to the hospital. Said with my grandfather, I was the last person seeing him die. After I walked out of the room, the doctor just came up to me. He's like, by the way, he just died after you left. Literally, I just walked out of the room, he died. Okay? Beautiful goodbye. So, you don't... The first thing that the brain goes to is not the bill. When you find out somebody in your family is dying, is the first thing you want to see them. Why hasn't Nisha gone to the hospital to see her mother? Why hasn't she ran with you as the partner? Usually what happens, she grabs your arm, we're going to the hospital to see my mom. Both of you can actually see her in a bad condition. So, her mother recovered over the next month. I never spoke to the woman on a video call. Nisha said her mother was shy, embarrassed, too tired. I accepted it. Bullshit. Absolute lie. 100% lie. That's why I'm telling you, she doesn't even allow you to see her on a video because it's a scam. If you find out your loved one is in the hospital, you run there. That was the pattern. A request, an emotional scene, supporting documents my decision, my regret, then my rationalization. Each time I told myself it was the last. It never was. Over the next 2 years, the amounts grew and blurred together. 50,000 baht to renew the cafe lease on a new location that never materialized. 100,000 for a condo investment in her name because foreigners can't own land. And this way we have something secure. That one came with a trip to a showroom off Rama 6 Road where a saleswoman in a tight suit poured us a tea and spoke in polished English about capital appreciation. I handed over the booking fee. Yeah. You know, she's talking about capital appreciation. Like, her bank account balance is 700 bucks. That's like at the most. You're not dealing with people who understand finances. Nisha squeezed my hand like we were signing a marriage certificate. 60,000 for a lawyer to resolve some supposed issues with immigration. They say your visa extension has mistake, but we can fix with lawyer. 10,000 here, 20,000 there, credit card debt, her cousin arrested for a motorbike accident, a friend who could help us speed up business registration for the cafe. Each incident came with tension, crying, apologies, gratitude, promises. You see the pattern? What I'm trying to tell you? You see the pattern? I kept a spreadsheet at first, a simple Excel file, date, amount, reason. After the first year, I stopped updating it. It made me too anxious. I preferred not knowing. That's what you do when you're in too deep. Correct. You avoid the numbers because numbers don't care about how much you love someone. Sometimes I had moments of clarity. One night, sitting on the balcony, I asked her, "Do you really love me, or am I just convenient?" The question hung between us like a humid air. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked over, sat on my lap, wrapped her arms around my neck. "What kind of question is that?" She whispered, looking offended, "If I only want money, I can find someone richer than you." Yeah, right. Because it's that easy. Oh my God, this is where women are so delusional. So delusional. She knows how hard it is to find a guy who has 30K. It is tremendously hard, okay? Like, I love this shit when women say, "Oh, I want a guy who makes $100,000. Yeah, that's like 15% in America, okay? And then you want a guy above 6 feet, you're down to 3%. And now you can't even choose if he's Chinese, white, black, fat, skinny, ugly, ripped, married, single, none of that. So by the time you build your perfect man, you're down to 0.01% of men. These are your chances. Don't buy this nonsense. "Oh, I'm gonna find a guy richer than you." So why you're with me? Why don't you have a richer guy? Yeah, right, because you haven't found any. Because it's not like rich guys are just walking on the street. Statistically, she's like, finding a guy who is like 200-300K is tremendously difficult for a woman. A rich guy can find a nice and good-looking girl anytime. Simple. A good-looking girl looking for a rich guy, it's like literally looking for a diamond somewhere in this matrix of a desert, going through the sand looking for a diamond. That's how difficult it is. And that's the truth. You're a good man. I've given you a lot, I said. I just want to know this isn't one-sided. "Love is not a count book," she replied. "But if he wants a count, I give you my time, my body, my heart." She placed my hand over her chest. "Can you feel it? It is for you." I wanted to believe her, so I did. That was my biggest crime. Not what I gave her, but what I willingly refused to see. The beginning of the end came in the second year with a message from my bank in Nevada. I was at the bar in Thornlore watching a Premier League game on a screen, half listening to two British guys argue about war, when my phone buzzed. It was an email notification from my US bank about unusual activity and low balance threshold. I opened it and stared, not understanding. My checking account, which had held just over $190,000 in Nevada, my severance, my savings, the remnants of my marriage settlement was down to $9,600. What? How did she get to your bank in Nevada? Dude, how did you give her info? I scrolled through the list of international transfers over the past 18 months. Amount after amount, 5,000, 8,000, 12,000, my stomach tightened. My chest burned. It was like reading the story of my own slow execution. I walked home in silence along Thornlore Road, past bars and food carts, neon flickering on paddles. I passed a group of tourists laughing, couples holding hands, a drunk guy being helped into a taxi. I felt like a ghost drifting through someone else's life. When I opened the condo, Nisha was on the couch watching a drama on her phone, earphones in. She looked up and smiled. "Hey baby," she said. "You come home early. We need to talk," I said. Her smile dropped half an inch. About what? About money. We sat at the dining table. I brought my laptop, opened the bank statements. My hands were shaking. I turned the screen towards her. "This is how much I had when I came here," I said. I pointed to the first line, 195, 100,000. This is how much I have now. She leaned in, her face illuminated by the cold light of numbers. She frowned. Isn't that much? She said, trying to joke. But we are happy, no? I've sent or spent over $185,000 in 2 years. Whew, okay, thank God. So you did it. It's not like she logged in and got your money. Okay, got it. Got it. I said, on us, on you. The cafe, your mother, the condo, the lawyer, your friends, your debts. I kept some receipts, but not all. But I added it up. I opened another file, the old spreadsheet I finally forced myself to update over the past week, as unease grew in my gut. At the bottom of the page totaled $227,000. I'm not stupid, I said quietly. I know life costs money. I know I'm not broke, but I'm close. And I need to know what's real here. She stared at the number, $227,000, like it was a stranger. Then she did what she always did. She tried to cry. Emotional manipulation. But this time I watched closely. The tears didn't come as easily. The trembling lip looked rehearsed. The way she turned her head slightly to the side, eyes glistening, was too precise. You think I steal for you? Of course, bitch. Absolutely. I know it. Unfortunately, our brother found out late. She asked, voice shaken. I think, I said slowly, that if I disappear tomorrow, the money I've given you would matter more than I would. That's not fair, she whispered. Is it true? I asked. Silence. The air conditioner hummed. Traffic noise bled through the windows. Somewhere down on the street, a dog barked. Do you love me? I asked. She started to answer reflexively. Of course, I do, but I cut her off. Don't say of course. Think about it. Do you love me or do you love what I can provide? Of course what you can provide. Dude, how can you believe she loves you? Her face hardened, the mask slipping for just a second. You think too much. She doesn't like when you think. She likes when you don't think and you just give her money. That's what she likes. She said, suddenly cold. Always numbers, always money. Maybe you don't know how to be happy. Oh my God, when a woman starts to bring up this shit, how money don't matter, after you spend $227,000, you never stay with her. Money is not everything. Then why you were asking for it? Then why did I transfer it to you when it didn't make you happy? Did it save your mother? You see what I mean? When the money doesn't matter, don't ever ask me for $1. That simple. Don't ever buy into this bullshit. That's not the answer. She stood up, walked to the balcony, lit a cigarette. She didn't smoke often, only when she was stressed. I watched her through the glass, the way she stared on the city, like she was measuring distance between buildings. After a while, she came back in, sat down, and said, if you don't trust me, we should break up. After she found out you got $9,000. That's the real reason why she wants to leave. She knows she squeezed all of the money, like you got nothing left. And after that, it's just you, with no money. And that's what she doesn't want. There it was. No, I love you. Not, we'll fix this. An ultimatum. You want to break up? I asked, stunned. I don't want to live with someone who counts everything. That's true. She just wants you to be quiet, shut up, and give her everything. Don't count it, just give her. And she plays it by love, like you are this materialistic money predator who doesn't care about real feelings and happiness. Well, fuck the feelings, I'm broke. That's the reality. Stop playing this game. I know the predator you are. You make me feel like prostitute, because that's who you are. Like, this is literally, oh my God. It's like prostitute is an insult. Like, how do you call a woman who sells sex for money? Prostitute. How do you call a guy who trains people for linen? A trainer. How do you call someone who does accountant? The accountant. She is the prostitute. Why are you embarrassed for your profession? Because it's embarrassing. It's just you chose the wrong one. So stop being offended by people calling you who you really are. Every time I ask for help, you will say, you use me. I realized that in her mind, asking for help in those amounts was normal, or at least defensible. In mine, it had been devastating. We weren't living in the same reality. I'm not saying you're a prostitute. Well, I would say it. I said, I'm saying I don't know if I'm loved. No, you're not. If you're loved, you don't have to double check. She looked at me for a long time, then said something that cut through the last of my denial. Love is not enough to live. Hold on, so now the money matters. Just 10 minutes ago, the money didn't matter. And now the love doesn't matter, but the money matters. Money is more important, you know that. And this is the real her. She went to the bedroom and shut the door. I didn't follow her. 3 days later, she was gone. I came back from a meeting with the visa agency trying to understand my options now that my finances were collapsing, and found the condo half empty. Her clothes, makeup, laptop, jewelry, everything I bought her was gone. My things were untouched. The bed was made with the precision she never bothered with. On the dining table was her condo access card and handwritten note in Thai with a short English line at the bottom. I'm sorry, don't contact me. I tried to call, line, Facebook phone, blocked. Her profile picture was gone, replaced with a standard gray silhouette. It was as she's never existed. I sat on the floor, back against the couch, holding the note. I didn't cry, not at first. And this is the position where a man can actually commit suicide. When you find out you were scammed like this, it is tremendously hard for a man to overcome this. Tremendously hard. So, just keep your head up, brother. You're still 41, you might get your life back on track somehow. I just sat there, staring at the blank TV screen, listening to the refrigerator buzz. After a while, I realized I was shaken. It wasn't heartbreak yet, it was shock. The heartbreak came after, in pieces. I went to the police. I went to the station on Sukhumvit, documents in hand, bank statements, receipts, screenshots of our chats. None of that's gonna work. You gave the money willingly. This officer behind the desk was polite but distracted, fiddling with his phone between questions. So you send your money to your girlfriend, he said in English, many times. Yes, I said, for business, for her family, for her condo, for a lawyer that might not exist. She disappeared. I think she scammed me. He nodded slowly, as if he'd heard this story before. You have contacts? He asked. Some. I showed him the condo booking agreement with her name on it. The business agreements were all informal. Line messages, a few typed pages without proper stamping or witnesses. He flipped through the pages, then leaned back in his chair. This is difficult, he said. It is more likely a relationship problem, civil case, not clear criminal. You give her money, you don't have proof, she plans to cheat you from beginning. But she pretended to be in love with me, I said. She lied. He shrugged, a small apologetic movement. Hard to prove love in court. If you want, you can get a lawyer and sue her. Maybe you can freeze assets if you know her account, but he spread his hands. Very difficult. Maybe more expensive than the money you get back. I wanted to rage at him, at the system, at the whole damn city. No, the only one you should be raging at is yourself. But he wasn't the one who made my decisions. I was. Is there anything you can do? I asked quietly. He hesitated and said, I can make a report for a record. If you have more evidence later, you come back. He typed slowly, asking me for dates, amounts, addresses. He printed the report, stamped it, handed me a copy. The red ink bled slightly on the cheap paper. Yeah, that report is not going to mean anything. It's just to make you feel a little better that you took action. As I walked out of the station into the heat, I realized that was all the justice I was going to get. A piece of paper that said, in effect, you made a mistake. The next few weeks were a blur. I stopped going out. I stayed in the condo, blinds half closed, watching the city through narrow slits. I canceled the remaining lease months with a penalty and moved to a cheaper studio near on Noot, a place with flickering halfway lights and faint smell of mildew. I started tracking every bot because I no longer had the luxury of avoiding numbers. I checked her social media every day, even though it was blocked. I created a new account. She blocked that too. A friend of mine, a guy I met at the expat bar on Sukhumvit Soi 4, sent me a screenshot one night. "Isn't this your ex?" he wrote. It was a photo of Nisha at the rooftop bar on Silom in a tight red dress, clinking glasses with a man I'd never seen before. He was older than me, heavy-set, wearing a Rolex that probably cost more than my first truck. Yeah, this one too. Her caption in Thai translated loosely to, "New chapter, better things coming." I stared at the photo for a long time, my jaw clenched. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't even angry. Not really. I felt hollow. I realized then she hadn't been a one-time catastrophe. She was a system, a pattern. And I had been one unit of that pattern, slotted in for two profitable years. That night I finally cried, not just for the money, for the man I'd been when I got to that first flight from Nevada. The one who thought a vacation in Thailand might fix something inside him. The man who boarded the plane was gone. I didn't know who I was now. I thought about going back to Nevada. I even priced tickets, looked at rental listings near Henderson, considering calling my old boss. But every time I imagined stepping back into that life, I saw only two versions of myself. The one I'd been before, numb and restless, and the one I was now, bruised and suspicious. Neither version felt like someone I wanted to be. Instead, I did something different. I stayed, but I changed how. I found a part-time consultant work with a logistic company near Asoke. Nothing glamorous, but enough to keep me afloat. I moved again, this time to a modest but clean studio on a side street of Rama 6 Road, far from the neon chaos on Sukhumvit. I started taking Thai language classes, not just enough to flirt, but enough to read contracts and understand overheard conversations. I stopped drinking as much. I stopped going to the kind of clubs where I would meet Nisha. When I passed Sukhumvit Soi 11, I crossed to the other side of the street. Sometimes on hot nights, I would walk along the channel and replay everything in my mind. The first time she smiled at me in that club. The first money transfer, the hospital photo. The cafe napkin, the note on the table that said, "Don't contact me." I found myself examining my own role in it, like a crime scene where I was both victim and accomplice. Yes, she lied, she manipulated, she weaponized affection and vulnerability like tools. But I was the one who needed to be needed. Very true. I was the one who thought love could be measured by how much I was willing to sacrifice. I was the one who ignored each tiny alarm because the sound of her calling me good man was louder. I didn't forgive her. Not really, but I began to understand that if I turned her into a monster, I would never have to admit my own weakness. And that would guarantee I made the same kind of mistake again, with someone else. All right, that was today's email. Very devastating. Luckily, our brother's in his 40s, so he might rebuild his life. And, you guys just got to be very careful. Love doesn't require you to spend money. It's not your responsibility to fix other people or to pay the debt of your partner or her entire life debt either. Okay? Don't ever fall for a trap like this, and watch for the signs. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe on my video. I'll see you tomorrow with another story. Goodbye.